Hey guys, welcome back to another one. This is a video about Ethereum and the gas fees. So I know a lot of people have a little bit of confusion about Ethereum and the move from proof of work to proof of stake. And I think that a lot of people think that this upcoming switch, which is coming up soon, to proof of stake will make the gas fees go down. And I ran into this the other day. I recently started a Celsius account. There's a link below if you'd like to get a referral to get $50 in BTC. But in order to move $400 over to Celsius to get the $50 in BTC, the gas fee was about $50. So, you just kind of have to sit around and wait for the gas fees to go down. And a lot of people talk about, this swap from proof of work to proof of stake, which is awesome. There's a lot of good things with it, but the gas fees going down is not part of that. And I will explain that in this video right here. So upgrading Ethereum to radical new heights. This is Ethereum's website, and this kind of walks through the ETH 2.0 upgrades. So there's the creation of the beacon chain, which is currently live, and that's where you can go on like Coinbase, and you can stake your Ethereum in the ETH 2.0, and you can't unstake it for a while until all this is completed. But that is what's going on right now. So the merge is what is happening next, and that is the mainnet Ethereum will merge with the beacon chain, and that will enable staking for everyone. And it, brings down the energy, it brings down, or it just stops the miners. And essentially, the estimate is the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022. Somewhere around that time frame, the merge will happen. And unfortunately, this will not bring down the gas fees. The gas fees are still going to be outrageous, which kind of sucks. But on the bright side, we will have proof of stake. So you will get APY back on your Ethereum if you choose to stake it. And then in the future, one thing that will help with the gas fees coming down is the shard chains. And essentially, shard chains, I won't get too much into it, but it's breaking down a piece of data into multiple different shards so that that entire piece of data does not have to, hog up an entire block in the blockchain technology. It doesn't have to hog up an entire block. So little shards take a lot less space, and no one person has to have all of the individual shards, just the person who wants to request the data. Anyway, that will bring down gas fees in the future, but that will probably be sometime later in 2022. So let's talk about this London upgrade. I think some people initially thought what recently happened, where ETH is now more predictable and there's a burn to it, which potentially can bring down or potentially make Ethereum deflationary, and it burns a little bit of ETH every time there is a transaction, which is great. So let's check this out from ethereum.org. The London upgrade aims to make transacting on Ethereum more predictable for users by overhauling Ethereum's transaction fee mechanism. So essentially, the benefits are better transaction fee estimates and generally quicker transaction inclusion, and then burning a percentage of the transaction fees. So this also, I think a lot of people thought was going to bring down the transaction fees for Ethereum, but not quite its goal. So essentially, there is a set price where you can go check it out and say, hey, if I want to transact on the Ethereum mainnet, how much is that going to cost? And you can see it. So that is something that is super handy that happened recently. And then the other part is you can see that, the base fee is what you have to pay. And then if you really, really want to make that transaction right here, right now, then you could pay a tip to a miner. So between those two things, that base fee that is always there, that is something that is just burned away. So it's taken out of the Ethereum overall supply. And then the miner tip, on the other hand, is just something that you can give as a way to say like, hey, I need this transaction to happen right here, right now. Here's a little bit of extra cash. So here's a graphical depiction of that happening essentially. So that was the EIP 1559 that recently happened. And then scaling, which happens at the end of the ETH 2.0. And then also, this is what Vitalik thinks that will bring down the transaction cost ultimately, is the multiple different ways to scale. And it's all on the layer 2. So the layer 1 essentially is the Ethereum mainnet. So this base layer, ETH, or the layer 2 essentially is taking a whole bunch of data off of that baseline layer, moving it up to layer 2, having all the computations done up there, and then bringing one line of data with all that computation down into a block. So that's essentially the scaling method that will bring down the fees. So the sharding, that is something that is going to happen in the future, like we just saw with the ETH 2.0 upgrade, shard chains, and I kind of talked about that a little bit. And then the next set of solutions are those layer 2 scales, primarily rollups. There's 2 different rollups. I won't get into them too much. If you aren't interested, I can make a video. I was doing a little bit of research and I learned a bunch of these actually, but it's very technical. But there's ZK rollups or zero knowledge proof rollups, and then there's optimistic rollups. There's state channels, side chains, plasma, so a whole bunch of layer 2 solutions that would definitely bring the transaction fees down for anyone trying to use Ethereum right now. So why is it needed? It kind of talks about that, and essentially for the fees. The rollups, it talks about that, how transaction execution is outside of layer 1. It moves it up to layer 2 and then brings it back down to layer 1. And it's useful for reducing those fees and faster throughput. That's the other thing. It makes the transactions per second exponentially faster. I think right now Ethereum's at about 15 transactions per second. If these are implemented, it moves from 15 transactions per second into the thousands. So let's check it out. There's a couple tokens and coins using ZK rollups currently, and you can see them right here. And then the optimistic rollups, there's a couple of them using them currently, and you can see it right here: Optimism, Fuel Network, OMGX, et cetera. And one last little website that I just wanted to check out. It talks about the layer 2 solution. So Ethereum layer 2 runs on top of ETH layer 1, which supports running of the network. Operating on layer 2 frees up layer 1. It takes transactions off the main chain, offloading it to another layer, layer 2, enabling them to interact, and then recording the remainder of the whole transaction back to layer 1. So due to it being processed off of the transaction being processed off chain, the benefit is more capacity, faster times, and lower gas fees. So they're thinking we can move from 15 transactions per second to 2,000, 4,000 transactions per second. And then it talks about some of the what is currently using that layer 2 solutions. And then this is just a little quote where I'll end here from Vitalik Buterin. And he talks about layer 2 rollups, and it's the only choice for scalability of Ethereum right now. So in the short term, I just don't see rollups as being one choice among many things. I see them as being the only choice. So once again, guys, this is just talking about ETH 2.0, how currently a lot of people think the move from proof of work to proof of stake is going to lower the gas fees. Unfortunately, it's not. The shard chains will a little bit, but that'll be further along in late 2022 probably. And the main solution are going to be layer 2 rollups and other layer 2 solutions. So I hope this helps. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next one.